Welcome everyone to Plastic Cards Podcast, a show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev extraordinaire, Gavin Jones. Gavin, how are you?
Aloha. Is this close enough for the mic?
Yeah, it's good. I think watch your levels. Sound pretty good. If you can put it up your butt, I think that's the better.
Oh, that is that. I mean,
so we get the views. How
talk real out of that way to hear it. I've been good. Good. Keeping busy. Can't stop the busyness. How about yourself?
Mm-hmm. Not busy at all.
Busy?
Well, in our state, they locked down for the second time, so our coffee shop is just like dramatically slower, like 10% of the sale. It was already bad, like slower,
right.
But we were kind of gaining traction with people coming in to sit down, and now we lost that. So I'm just at work watching YouTube basically all day.
I'll be curious to see. I saw it in a newspaper. I hadn't heard this from anyone. Like Inslee is proposing like 1.3. I'm pulling this number out of my ass.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was some $1 million worth of support.
It's possible. I haven't been keeping up with it, but that would be dope, because when they announced that second lockdown recently, there's no plan on any support. So they just said, figure it out. And so hopefully they do that, but also some kind of unemployment thing, because a lot of places just closed.
Yeah.
We were possibly going to do it, but we're just going to stick it out, and it's just me manning the shop. But so instead, I'm just there in between customers, like one every hour. I'm just watching YouTube. And so like today I watched, it was like a custom. So it was, we're looking at Linus on the screen. It was one of his videos, and it was actually pretty dope because it was two different prominent like PC YouTubers. Mm-hmm. They were doing this battle against each other, time battle, where they had to fix these PCs.
Oh, I thought it was going to be where they had their wives build the PCs.
Oh, no. Are they like coaching them or like walking them through it?
No, they sat in the other room and let their wives do it.
Interesting.
Which is like, they're like facepalming over here. And if I were their wife, I would have done way worse. They did so much better than I did the other day when I was being helped by you to put this PC together. They did it within, I want to say 2 hours.
Yeah.
But
that's dope. Yeah, this one they had given them two identical PCs that had the same issues. Like they messed with the PCs and unplugged stuff and messed with things. And there was up to them, to each YouTuber, to figure it out. And so they're kind of like judging it and chiming in, talking to them, and then coming back out, and just like a sports narrator, just like talking about what was going on. It was actually really, really cool. But super duper nerdy. But I was watching that, just glued to the TV today.
His videos are fun.
Yeah, I'm coming around to Linus because for some reason he just seemed like an asshole. I don't know, and it's ironic that he reminds me of one of our good buddies.
Right.
I
think it helps that our buddy and Linus both permanently look 16.
Yes.
Like nothing.
At least Linus has like a beard now, but I don't know if our buddy could even grow. What's his situation?
He can grow the worst mustache. Our friend, not Linus, but our friend can grow the worst mustache that you've ever seen. And if you're watching this right now, which you're not, but if you are, you know it too.
But I feel like he leans into it as well. Like he leans into that mustache. But yeah, he always reminded him of our buddy. Trashy Stash.
The Trashy Stash, yes.
But thanks for watching, Heim Steven. But he always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But just the more I watch it, it's like, oh, I don't know why I didn't like this guy. He's actually pretty cool and funny. Yeah. And the videos are super interesting and informative. And so I could just watch him all day.
I could see being turned off by like, he has the ultimate like YouTuber thumbnails.
Yeah, they lean hard into that, which you got to play the game. I get it.
You do
it.
And he's been playing this game since like forever.
Yeah.
So
for a long time. Yeah.
But he's clearly, I think the reason like he comes across as sort of a dickhead is because he is so knowledgeable about this stuff.
Right.
And he'll see that random chord and know what kind of thingy-majig it goes to the whoosy mabob and what year that stopped being manufactured. And I'm over here like, I plugged the thing in the thing.
Well, you mentioned you are at the same level as Linus, like, mentally with PCs. You just built your PC for the first time last week. Was it a week ago now? Maybe 2 weeks ago now?
I don't see how that puts me on the same level as, do you mean his wife?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Somebody, his neighbor.
No, she was still past me. Yes, neighbor, I might be.
But how you feeling with your new PC now? It's
dude, I love it.
Growling, purring.
It's it's very quietly purring. It will turn up a little bit when you get a game running, but even that is quieter than my current PC or my old PC just idling.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's so quiet. I absolutely adore it. It's been fun just downloading games and putting them on Macs. Having an M.2 hard drive is a game changer.
Oh yeah.
It's so like it's really, I don't want to use my traditional hard drive anymore because that's so fast.
Yeah.
So I kind of regret not splurging and spending the extra money on a 2.5 terabyte.
Yeah, and they're getting cheaper. They're still around like the $200 range, but just the ease of mind that you have, like you have so much space, you don't have to worry about it. You can throw games on there, not just the OS.
I guess the reason I didn't do it is because my coworker just told me, he's like, look, especially now with this becoming standard in consoles, the prices, the capacity is going to jump and the prices are going to drop.
Yeah.
So don't invest too hard right now. So I didn't.
I think if you hold out a year, this time next year, I think they're going to be dramatically cheaper because you're going to have a year of these consoles using the same stuff. And so, yeah, I think just hold out as long as you can.
Yeah.
I have been, as other YouTube rabbit holes have been going down, is liquid cooling, like actually building the tubing and stuff. It looks really cool. And I'm not.
It's cool, but it requires maintenance.
It does. Yeah. And that's what I'm kind of getting into is the maintenance involved. Like there's pH levels in the liquid. What kind of liquid do you use? Like it's a whole world. And I'm just kind of like learning and understanding. And I don't have the bug at all yet to like actually pull the trigger. I'm just like learning about it, but it's pretty cool. But also what always calls out to me is how cool they look. I could really care less about the performance. Sure. I know you do get an edge, but they just look cool. Like all the different color modifications you can do and different liquid colors and the lights and stuff. I'm just like, I want to do that because it looks cool.
Fair enough.
I don't care if I'm just running Minecraft on it or whatever, but
I guess my fear with it, and are you going to, because there's no point in doing that if you're not going to overclock everything it's plugged into. Do you have this thing overclocked at all?
I don't. I have some software that will do it, but I just never cared enough to like fully look into it. But I get enough power out of it now, so maybe as it gets older or something. But yeah, right now it works. And also I'm afraid to brick it because I've had other issues with this PC stuff in the past that I've had to replace. So it works. I'm gonna keep it working.
Yeah. I guess the question for you, you did spend a good chunk of change in this thing. And you did buy a nicer graphics. So I went a step down from yours. I would say 2 steps down because you got
it's technically the 2070 Super. Yeah. And yours is a 2060.
And the Super means quite a bit.
I don't know.
From my understanding, from my limited understanding, it's a decent chunk faster.
It's possible. I know it's like whatever gigahertz compared to the last one as far as like power goes. But it's a step up before you switch to the 2080. So there's like these little incremental adjustments where you can pay whatever, like $100 more, and then you get that extra bit of power. But yeah, it is a step over yours, but it's still not much. I think I have 8 gigs of RAM, and you might have 6 gigs of RAM. I think the 2060 max out at 6 gigs.
I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
Well, I got mine. I went cheaper because in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna get a 3080. Or a 6000 series.
You're just gonna walk into the store and just give me one of those off the shelf.
I mean, you could have if you're in New York. There, one of those stores that was selling them. They said we're just not doing online. So if you want to camp out,
wait in line,
you're getting it,
right?
Which is kind of fucking cool.
Yeah, because online there was no way to fucking get these. They were just bots. Instantly did buy them out. I did read today this morning. While I was pooping, I was reading that so the 3070 is like right now the lowest one you can get of the new series. The 30, they're going to come out with the 3060. It just leaked like the images and the specs. So that's going to be $400, but it's still more powerful than the stock 2080 Super you can get right now. So for cheaper than the 2080, you can get this more advanced card, but good luck getting them because they're still going to make 5 and then figure it out. But yeah.
I mean, consumer wise, though, those new series, like price to power, like that's so much more power than you're paying for.
It is. I just wish that there was enough supply because there isn't right now. So it's a great deal, but no one can get a hold of them. They keep saying that somewhere into 2021, they're going to revamp the production process and manufacture more of them. But yeah, so here's hoping that we do get a hold of these because that'd be dope to get a cheaper card that's way more powerful than the stuff you can get on hand right now.
Yeah. It is so tricky with that production process, and I certainly work in an industry where we're dealing with a lot of purchasing and stuff like that, and literally just everyone across the board, everyone has been hit.
Yeah. I wonder if it's COVID at least with the cards. If it's all COVID or COVID doesn't help at all during this time, they're trying to launch this new stuff. These new
part of the problem is a lot of these factories are so packed And so all of a sudden, like, you have double the demand, which certainly there's double the demand for these, and you can't pack people as closely. So you got to shut down half your line. So double the demand with half the supply.
Right.
So it really sucks. But
yeah,
man, I think those are really, when both those cards become more available, that's just going to change the game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think COVID helped with getting people stuck at home looking into building PCs, me included, to where there's way more people out there who now want these cards too. So I mean, it's a good time for everybody. Well, not for everybody, but because COVID still is the Grim Reaper behind our shoulder. But as far as like these manufacturers, just gaming in general, there's like way more people now in the mix and, trying stuff out. But yeah, so you're building your PC. That's good.
That was my question though. Do you think, since you did spend a decent chunk of change on the graphics card, so I bought cheap because I knew I was going to upgrade later. Yeah. Do you think you'd still, because yours is very powerful, do you think you'd still,
if I could get a hold of one, then I would buy it and then just try and sell this eBay, for like 50% of the cost or something like that. So yeah, I would definitely try because I'm an idiot and a nerd. And even before all this 30...
That's the thing though. That's the last upgrade you need for a while. Like, yes, more powerful cards will come out. Yeah. But how long are you set for with that thing? Because that thing's already like... I mean, I'll just throw it out there, like maybe like a time and a half with a modern console.
Sure.
And I mean like the new current gen console. Like, so the only thing you're largely going to be held back by is consoles.
That's true. I guess it's more of like... as you get into the weeds, like what you kind of want out of it. Or I do have that enthusiast bug where I do want to, if I can upgrade, just like keep upgrading with it. I'd have that dumb part of my mind where, because I like the thing, I want to try and keep upgrading as much as I can. So I'll just keep chasing that dragon and try and, upgrade everything as I can. But you necessarily don't need to. And I think there's a lot of life in these cards where you have a good, at least 2 years, 3 years, before you even, or like you rocked your card for like, your PC for like 8 years. Yeah. So it's all varying levels of, how much do you want to spend upgrading stuff. And
to be fair, when I bought it back then, my card was still pretty behind the curve. Jeez. Like, I just upgraded to that gen, which would be like Xbox One.
Yeah.
And
that was like right before they released.
Yeah, it was right about when they released. So I upgraded to basically the minimum, and I thought the minimum would carry me a little bit longer. Now we know you have to overkill it a little bit.
Yeah, just to give you that extra bit of time. But and then these cards, they keep resale value pretty well, where you can still get enough back to like put that towards a new card. So it's like you're never fully just like shit out of luck. Like they don't drop, especially now, like people are still selling the current cards for so much because you can't get the next series. Right. So like they still hold their value where you're fine. If you buy something, you can still use that for the next thing. But yeah, Gavin, you played a bunch of games. Let's
have you knock out your what you've been playing, because it's been 2 weeks, and I should say we didn't meet last week. We had a small COVID scare at my work, so we chose to play it safe.
COVID threw a wrench.
Everyone tested negative, so
that's good.
Yeah.
What did I play? So I got the PS5. That happened last week, and been playing it, loving it. It's had some issues where I've had it crash at least once, hard crash.
Oh shit.
A lot of the issues were tied to miles, and later they patched, like just recently they patched it, where you're just getting it failing the game itself and like taking you to the menu. They're working on that. They fixed that. Got to beat Miles last weekend.
Oh shit.
And yeah, it's super dope. Super duper dope. Playing that. And then really, because I do want to play Demon Souls. I think that's my next purchase, but because it's $70, I'm still like, and we talked about it for so long. It's like these games it's fair for them to demand a higher price, 100%. But then when it comes down to me like paying for it, I'm like, I don't want to do this. At least I'm going to wait until like I have enough gap, because I just paid like $70 for the remastered of Spider-Man.
Right.
But for sure that's on my radar. And I've been playing, until then, I still need to beat Tsushima. And they did a 60 frame per second mode in Tsushima on the PS5. And it's like a new fucking game. It's like
it's at 60 frames per second.
That, but also I think there's some resolution tricky where it can handle more resolutions, because it looks just way more crisp and just dope. It's such a beautiful game, but it also released on the edge of the console generation, so those games always look a bit better. And so that with the 60 frames, with whatever resolution stuff they're doing, it's like a next gen game. It's pretty nuts, and it's really, really fun. That's definitely what I'm in the mood for right now, is like just an action RPG. Also, there's Valhalla I want to jump into. There's just a
Right.
lot, and right now my wallet is yelling at me.
One of my coworkers, one of the complaints I've heard about Valhalla though is like the combat, and it took him I feel like a good 24 hours before he finally liked the combat,
Interesting.
which is mind bending.
I know they've made changes. I didn't play much of the last ones, but I know they made changes with this one compared to not Origins, but Odyssey. And yeah, it seems like people are liking it, not liking it. I don't know exactly what they changed, but
I hear the weight of the combat feels a bit off.
interesting. Well, you're a Viking, you're a big, dude or chick. You can change your protagonist. Maybe they're just trying to, transfer that into what you're doing. There's a lot more melee.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's definitely a looker, and I do want to play this game. I know it was experiencing screen tears on Xbox Series X, so it was kind of a bummer. But I guess that's just like a patch thing that they can work on. But people were kind of negative on that. But yeah, now that these consoles are here, I'm super stoked to just play more. I just also don't have the money to play more.
Right.
But yeah, just been playing my PS5. What about you?
That actually reminds me. I was talking with another coworker. I'm like, I kind of want to get Godfall because this is really the first, maybe that Forza game. I don't know if that's cross-gen, but Godfall is not cross-gen. This is...
Oh, it's PS5, at least timed, right? I wonder if it's going to come to PC eventually.
It's on PC.
Oh, okay.
Right now it's on Epic Store.
Gotcha.
But this is like the one game that's like, no, we're next-gen only, which is now, again, it's going to take forever to get used to that. But yeah, we're next-gen only.
Right.
You got to be able to run that. So I kind of want to push my card with that game. That being said, I hear the gameplay is really just okay.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. That's my only hesitation with you spending the money is that it seems like it's not enough to keep you engaged. That's that's a bummer. I would maybe wait till something else. But there's not a lot like that right now that's PC and console. Like I would say jump into Tsushima, but you don't have a PlayStation. You could all use my PS4 and play it there. But
I now I may finally take you up on that offer. I can play through God of War. That being said, as we've discussed, we're burning through our made-up backlogs
right
before
Cyberpunk
jumps out. And so that being said, I don't need to add to said backlog.
Yeah, now's the worst time. And you have the PC now, so you want to try all the cool new games or games you've had, see how they run. So yeah, you need more time.
But yeah, games I played. I had to write this down because the list was so big. So we don't need to look up all these. I'll bring up a few when we need to look up. Gears 5. God, I forgot how fun Gears of War is.
Yeah.
And sort of with Gears and another game I've been playing, I remember there's this talk on what Call of Duty has sort of lost over the years, especially when it jumped to Modern Warfare or past Modern Warfares. They felt like war games because you're fighting alongside people, and those people technically can kill the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a war. And when you're playing Gears of War, it's you and those 3 other people. Try and bet your best not to die. So it does feel more like a war. Gears of War is fucking great.
Gotcha.
It's the dumb blockbuster. It's great.
Yeah, that's interesting that you do lose something with like these crazy set piece events where there's a bunch of people, or it's like you're just kind of alone. They really, with Gears of War, they nailed that smaller party, staying consistent, especially the recent ones. They really stick to that 4 people no matter what that can jump in and out. The little that I played on PC of Gears 5, I do enjoy it, and it's definitely a game to like test out your PC for sure too.
Absolutely. S'more Spelunky 2, absolutely loving it, getting slightly better. I started Dishonored last night. I'm gonna knock this bitch out. That's what, for some reason, before Cyberpunk comes out, I'm gonna beat that and Dishonored 2. I don't know why that's my hill I'm gonna die on.
That one takes some time because you are moving stealthily, so you're slowly kind of proceeding, but it's still fun. Like it's not a negative. It's just like it's going to take you a little bit of time to crunch through that. But yeah, those 2 games are dope.
Well, and the more I remember when I first played it, my hours on there are sitting at 19. So from last time I played it, and so considering, like, I don't know, I'm sure I was reasonably close to the end, but so that's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And I definitely explored every single nook and cranny.
Gotcha.
And was trying to do a no kill run or a low chaos run or whatever it's called. So yeah, it's probably going to take another 24 hours to beat that. And then the next one, but
the sequel has this puzzle that you can't just look up on YouTube. It's this puzzle that has like these 5 different options. They're all random. So your playthrough is going to have a certain arrangement of these puzzles. It is optional, but unlocks these crazy things. It's hard as hell though to nail that puzzle, but you'll see it when you experience that. It's really cool how they did it, but you have to go and talk to people and kind of figure out the environment, and then those answers are revealed in the puzzle. But there's no way you can just look it up online. It's like tailored to your gameplay by random, throwing stuff together. But it's really cool.
I dig it. I fucking dig it. What else? I started playing, so on a similar vein to Gears of War 5, Ghostbusters Remastered, because I thought that would push my system.
Yes.
No. This game looks like how I remember this game looking when it came out. So I guess that makes me question how bad. And that's kind of what I noticed too with Dishonored. Like in my head, Dishonored looked better. It's still like art direction wise, Dishonored is an amazing game. But like tech wise, it's pretty slim pickings. But yeah, so this is I guess this game originally came out on the 360. I don't remember it being that old. I thought it was younger than that. But
how is the writing? Because I know it's a big deal that this was like written by the original people involved. It's like a direct sequel in their mind to the second Ghostbusters. How is the writing and just the jokes and stuff?
It's funnier than I remember. Like even when these jokes are cheesy, and they're all cheesy.
Yeah.
It's still funny.
Nice.
But yeah, these graphics are absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But so we're even looking at the remastered like PS4 Pro footage, and yeah. Although I don't know how much you can do to make this, look any better, but because it is kind of an older game.
They could have done something.
They could have. It depends on the team and how much time they spent and all that. Because if you look at Blue Point, who did Demon Souls, that remaster is insane, and that's still that's an older game.
Well, I guess that's where you get between is a remaster or remake. That was a remake. This is
I would agree it's more of a remake.
Yeah, this is just turning on higher resolution and
calling it a day.
Yeah, basically. But it's fucking fun. Like that's when cool. You and 3 other Ghostbusters are all lasering the same ghost and somebody throws down a trap, it wasn't even you. Yeah. They threw down the trap and you together bring them down. Like,
see, that's what it's about. If they can nail that, and it seems like they are, then that's where it doesn't matter, really how it looks.
Yeah, which is crazy that this game has, to my knowledge, no co-op, because this would have been amazing with co-op.
Ooh, so it's just you and the NPCs or the...
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're kind of new guy. But yeah, this is... They put the story... They never going to make a third Ghostbusters, so they put the story in this one. So this is officially a sequel to Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And it's... Dude, I love it.
Nice.
Then the game... Okay, so one game you got to look up, Due Process. Which I remember seeing there were some DigiPen alum who made a game. I can't tell if this is the game that was made by them, or I remember there was a game that was, they started work on it before Rainbow Six Siege came out.
Okay.
And it allowed for as good, if not better, level of destruction than Rainbow Six Siege, but it had this very basic, like, Minecraft style art style, but like the pixels were really small. The amount of destruction you could do is really micro destruction, and I thought they were going to make it more like Judge Dredd artwork. So I saw this and I thought, it's the game. They finally came out, and I don't know if this is that game, but it definitely doesn't have that destruction, and really? This is definitely not fun. I'll play some more, but so far I have just been not. It looks so fast paced. Maybe I'm playing it wrong.
It reminds me of a bit of like a Counter-Strike kind of feel, or that recent one, Valorant, at least with like what they're trying to mimic with the speed and all that. But there's no destructibility, or they just like scaled it back quite a bit.
It's super scaled back. It used to be you could like punch holes in walls. So it really makes me wonder, is this that game I thought it was, or does this have the other thing that game had that this has is like beforehand, one team starts in a truck and the other team starts on the inside, and you can draw out on the map and you can see on the floor where people have drawn, and mainly you just use that to draw dicks.
As you do, yeah.
But yeah, so you plan, and then the people, the SWAT team coming in, whatever guns and ammo they take from their truck when they go in is permanently gone. So if the other guys defeat them, then they get those guns and ammo if they strip it from their bodies quick enough.
Ooh.
So it has a unique, I don't know, but God, did I just not enjoy my time with this.
Are you playing with people you know too, or are you just throwing into these matches?
I'm just playing online.
Gotcha.
So we'll keep, next one was, God, God, what was it? Remnant from the Ashes. Did you ever play this?
It doesn't ring a bell.
I heard this was a system pusher. Like as far as like it'll really push your PC if you need a decent beefy PC to play it. And I gotta say, I don't know if that's true now that I'm playing it.
No, it doesn't look terrible. It looks like
the lighting's fantastic.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what makes it so changing. The models aren't anything
crazy. Is it team-based
crazy.
or single player?
It can be team-based. Think about it like
got the Fallout.
So think like how in a roguelite it'll randomly generate all the levels. So this will do that. But when you die, you don't go back to the beginning and it regenerates all the levels. You just go back to the start of the level and you go again. So you can just memorize the levels and keep going and keep pushing. So it tries to be like the Dark Souls of a first-person shooter,
interesting.
but with randomly generated levels. So every time you restart from the beginning, it regenerates everything, but you don't have to do that until you beat it.
Oh, gotcha.
And you can jump in your buddy's game. So it is co-op, I want to say, for up to 4 players. And it's supposed to be really hard. Again, it's trying to be the Dark Souls of shooters. And it got me. My first mission, I died and I got obliterated. I was feeling very confident. And then a swarm of enemies took me on.
Can you see the carrot? Like, is there enough to keep you going through it, or is it just more punishing?
I'm going to keep going. I honestly, as hard as it is, it's fun.
Okay.
It's genuinely pretty fun. I probably won't play as melee-y as I am currently, but and I know when I watched people originally playing this, when they encountered like somebody was on the 3rd run of the game and they're like, that's a new enemy, I've never seen this enemy before. So that's pretty cool. And they really randomize the bosses and mix it up that way. So yeah, I don't know, I hear it's super fun. I'm having a lot of fun, so I'll kind of see where it goes with it. The other thing too, by the time you finish the game for the first time, like the items don't have random stats, so by the time you finish the game you have all the guns.
Okay.
And then you just sort of pick your build that works for you. Grinding won't do anything for you. Just get good.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's neat. But yeah, definitely didn't push my system as hard as I thought it would.
Yeah.
Or as I was told, but I'm having a blast. And then
I wonder when this released.
The original release, I want to say, was like 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
And then they put out an expansion that's supposedly really good. But yeah, this and then just Hades. I've been playing so much Hades. It's really fucking good right now.
Yeah, that's one. And we'll get into the Game Awards announced their nominees, and that's like one of the ones that's sweeping almost every category is Hades, and I gotta play it.
I think you'll like it. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun.
How far do you think you are in this at this point?
That's a difficult question to answer because it's like I've gotten to the final boss once now.
Okay.
I did it this weekend. And so I feel good that I'm getting to the final boss. That being said, once you beat him, then you unlock the ability to turn up the difficulty.
Oh, great.
And that's, that it's one of those, unfortunately, it's one of those roguelites where once you beat it, that's when the real game begins.
Gotcha.
When you're on difficulty 20. So I'm sitting at difficulty 1, thinking I'm feeling good, but I don't know. I doubt I'll ever get to. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's on my radar. I gotta try it out because I'm very much just baby steps into the whole roguelite stuff, and it's on top of the year list, so it's there's got to be something good about it. But you telling me it's really good, got to try this.
If you just got to remember, every death should be a learning experience. What could I have done better? And right now I'm still bad at figuring out what upgrades I should be picking, and I'm definitely like the last run I did, I turned my railgun into a shotgun, and I've never made that was the worst decision I've ever made.
Like it just completely replaced it with a shotgun?
Yeah, it made it into a shotgun, and the range is so terrible, and the damage.
Right.
It says the damage is higher, but it sure as fuck doesn't feel like it. So I don't know. It's super interesting. There's really nothing, especially with the way it does its story. There's nothing like this game.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. Damn, gotta play it. Nice. We've been playing that stuff. You're finally playing games. That's good. Playing up to date.
Playing games. Bought Control, so
yeah,
it'll be downloaded maybe by the time I get home. And
cannot wait to see what you think of that. Yeah, you did play the first hour or so here at the house. Yeah, about a year ago.
Oh, that's
But
true.
then I think you usually do this, or how do you? At the time, you proceeded to try and just like break the game or like really test out like the physics and the destructibility. I think you mostly did that before like playing anything else. But
yeah. Well, I realized the destructibility and like stuff worked really well in the game. Like
I think it's your game dev mind that has to like pick stuff apart first.
Yeah, when stuff was running so smoothly and working so well and intuitively, you got to figure out, all right, how can I break this? And like even the fact that if you can't like grab like, you want to grab something and throw it at an enemy, if there's nothing there, it'll just tear off a piece of the wall,
right,
and bring that to you. And I thought that was such an elegant and a good looking solution. And then you go up to that wall and it's displacement mapped, so it looks super good. Which I guess displacement mapping is coming back in this next gen, so that's neat. That only took over 10 years.
Yeah, definitely give that game a shot, man. That was probably my favorite game of last year. Oh boy. Well, again, we got a bunch of stuff as we skipped last week. There's a lot of tried to make sure we kind of covered the more essential stuff, but this one isn't essential, but I just wanted to show you. So PS5 Simulator is a free game for people who don't have the console yet, so this will be up your alley. Zarmina Khan of PlayStationLifestyle.net. If you don't have the PlayStation 5 yet because it hasn't been released in your region, or it has, but it's in severe shortage, that allows us to suggest something to hold you over. Developer Alex Grade has released a free Windows game called PS5 Simulator, thanks GameSpot, that allows you to pretend you have the console. So I have some footage here for you to check out.
Oh my God.
Totally tries to recreate. So you get the package. That's how you start off the game. And then you get to open it and set it up. And so it's just something to hold you over until you get the actual console itself. It starts with here we go.
So should I?
Skipping over here. But you can like fully roam around the house too. So there's like a trapper keeper and other stuff.
I like that they're using the font from Gone Home.
Right. Yeah, I think so. This is a YouTuber that I'm not sure the name, but they're adding stuff to it. But I wanted to get the bare essential experience. So you do have to
may
like
have picked the worst YouTube video to do this too.
Like you have to find a plug to actually plug it in. And God, yeah, this is a bad video.
Yeah.
Either way, the idea
this may be hilarious, but without audio, this is just infuriating.
Yeah. The essential idea is you get to set up your PS5 at home and simulate it, but just caught my eye. I thought it was pretty neat.
That is pretty funny.
So Gavin, a big one that happened over the week, we got CyberPunk footage.
Oh,
so the first one they released
so
was
much footage.
Yeah.
Too.
So the first one, if we want to break it down first, is just some Xbox One X and then Series X footage.
Yeah.
And they did a cool video just kind of comparing the same scenes, swapping back and forth. But so this is first off One X, and it's already looking dope. It looks like it runs awesome. And then they'll switch to Series, and there's better resolution and whatnot. They haven't said anything on consoles yet. If there's like a different frame rate mode, it seems like it's just running visually better on each one.
Right.
But it looks insane. I cannot wait for this game.
It is interesting, their relationship with Microsoft, because they did the initial announcement with Keanu Reeves. Well, I don't know about the initial announcement, but they did their big E3 reveal with Keanu there, which, by the way, that's one of the things that's made me really happy is I've been listening to a lot of previews, people talking about they had 16 hours worth of games, and they're saying Keanu's stuff is really good, and he's like a co-protagonist. So he's a huge part of this game, and he's pretty good. So that's fucking awesome. They put that money into that star power, and they're gonna get their money's worth out of it. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I was also hoping they didn't drop the ball and just like not use him enough, or the writing's weird with him. But yeah, I've heard the same stuff because a lot of outlets now, like GameSpot, IGN, they've spent that much time with this build of the game, and yeah, like really positive stuff. They did a separate video just talking about Keanu Reeves as well, one of their Night City Wires. Actually, that was the last one this last week. And just the fact that we get to see it on, well, I guess last gen now, and it runs great, just gives me hope that no matter where you pick this game up, it's gonna be a looker, it's gonna perform well.
Yeah. Also, this effect on him where they do there, where he sort of that's such a neat. It because
he's in
really
your head,
good.
right? He's somehow his software, whatever, is melded to yours. And so I imagine he's going to pop up, try to guide you to right whatever wrongs or whatever he needs done. You're going to help him do it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like he may be doing some bad stuff. And that was a theory I saw. I think it was IGN, maybe it was GameSpot that put that out, is he's encouraging you to do not necessarily good things. And he it's clear he's trying to take over, and they're encouraging you to do bad things. So sometimes you do it, so he'll leave you alone. And it's like, is that him taking over?
Right.
Like, is there going to be that meta? And I kind of hope there is. That would be dope.
I hope so. And it's interesting when he has you do quote unquote bad things, because this world is very gray. Like it's all fucked up. So it's like, what is good? What is bad? Everything's corrupt and just like the dark side of just current society or whatever. That's what I wonder too, is will the game be, I don't think it'll be too heavy. Like, but it just reminds me of like, say like Dark Mirror, where it's often those episodes are way too heavy because they're too real and they're taking what's currently going on and twisting into like a Twilight Zone situation, but it's also on the trajectory that we're going in anyways. So it's like extra fucked up. But I get vibes of this, but I think they'll still rely on the fun wackiness parts to kind of keep it light somewhat. But I'm wondering, like, just tonally how the game's gonna function.
I bet they can handle both.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just kind of wondering in advance. But then they showed off a cool the last gameplay trailer that they'll show off, just showing off all the different things you can do and swapping. And this world looks nuts. I have seen some of the gameplay they've shown off from the different outlets that have played for 16 hours. The world doesn't look as populated. It still looks very populated. But if you think back to that initial, that's always the case, I guess it seems like. But if you think back to that initial reveal where you're walking in downtown and there's just shoulder to shoulder people walking around, I feel like they scaled it back a little bit, but not really a negative. It's just like something I noticed when they actually come to, when this game comes to reality. But
yeah, I've definitely noticed that for a bit now. I hope on PC at least they let you turn up the population.
Yeah.
I would rather have higher population over RTX personally.
I think that's fair.
Because this game's going to look ridiculous with or without RTX.
Right.
Yeah,
there's layers to Digital Foundry did a good breakdown. There's layers to RTX where
thanks,
sometimes
Lord Mafia.
There's like RTX reflections, which everybody knows, but there's also RTX shadows. So sometimes games will just have that. Like I guess one of the last Modern Warfare had RTX shadows and not the reflections. So they'll kind of pick which one works or what hardware they can actually handle. But I don't know where I was going with that. But you don't necessarily like need it at the end of the day. If you can gain some other kind of performance or, more NPCs, more destructibility, like I think I would rather take that.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be curious to see what they can do with that tech. I mean, you mentioned more destructibility, and that was certainly a thing that NVIDIA invested in pretty heavily with their graphics cards.
I remember watching that video with
So yeah, maybe there is something like we still don't know how with the way RTX can speed up CryEngine's implementation of ray tracing. They have their own version. So how can these two things kind of interact together? We'll have to see. But
right. Yeah, I just referenced when you said Lord Mafia, I was like, what are you talking about? But Lord Mafia in the chat, sick broadcast, thank you very much. I'm interested too to see where they take the driving, if it's because that was my first hesitation is like, can you render everything but still drive through the city? But also the gunplay. So IGN had talked about how if you expect to play this as a first-person shooter, you're going to be kind of disappointed. But it's not like it's a negative. It's just the focus is on more other aspects. It's not just like a Doom kind of style where you're always running and gunning. There's other aspects to it, which I anticipated. But that gunplay just looks so fun. So I'm hoping there's enough side stuff to keep shooting. And like, I just want to do this all day.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if you can, like in the skill tree, like get yourself into a sort of doomy position as far as that combat goes. I don't know. I am a little worried. There was a chat I saw with somebody where they were saying, now this was an older build of the game, but they said that they didn't find the melee combat very fun.
Ooh, okay.
So that makes me nervous because we discussed trying to play differently as possible.
And you love to go melee first, I think, with a lot of
love to go melee, which made my time playing Outer Wilds very not that fun. That melee combat sucks.
Right.
Although with Fallout 4, like eventually when I became the unstoppable killing machine, melee is the way to go. I can teleport from a mile away and kill a Deathclaw in one blow. So we'll have to see on that if I actually do stick with that. If I don't go melee only, we'll try and pick something suitably different. I'm really going to be curious to see how different we can play.
Right. And the storylines, those three different paths, how different will they be from each other when we do decide to go different routes? Yeah, that'll be interesting. But man, we're super close, and it's weird to be this close because we've had so many delays, and this game has just been like this almost like Half-Life 3 like level of hype. And so the fact
that's
that it's
interesting.
coming out
Right there, there's an option that's only available because they're a corpo.
Oh, right. Yeah. So at least you're seeing in the dialogue tree, there's gonna be stuff that you can't access. Just like in Fallout, how if you don't have is it charisma high enough, you kind of can't convince people or lie to people in certain ways.
Or Outer Wilds, if you weren't an idiot.
Sure.
Yeah. I fucking love that. That was my favorite. Every time an idiot dialogue option came out, you gotta choose it. Every time.
Yep. Just like in real life.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, there was another thing that had dropped on Monday. I guess somehow there's PS4 discs out in the wild of CyberPunk. And so people are playing it right now on PS4. I'm not sure which outlet was giving them out early, but so everyone was saying online just to beware of spoilers and stuff like that, because some people have it, they're playing it. And I don't know if they are able to get whatever first day patch, because I'm sure there is one. Right. So I'm not sure the quality of what they're playing, but yeah, it is out there. But yeah, there's some kind of bummer news that came out, but there's some interesting tidbits out of this. This is the Capcom leak that happened last week. Capcom says sales and financial information stolen in major hack. This is Joe Screbbles of IGN. Capcom has provided an update on the ransomware attack it suffered earlier this month, saying that sales and financial information has been compromised and that the 3,500 pieces of personal information may have also been stolen.
Oof.
Yeah, rumors have begun to spread about information for unannounced games being included in the stolen data. So along with just the leaks that are possibly tied to this, also there's personal information of the people that work there that was leaked too. It's a huge deal. Yeah. So it's pretty fucked up. But as people were skimming through what may be, I don't know if they're going to hold on to these dates or if it's old data, but it's looking like Resident Evil 4, there's a possible VR port coming to Oculus in 2021, which would be fucking amazing. I can't wait if that's a reality. And then also Resident Evil 8, which is the upcoming one, releasing possibly in April 2021. How do you feel about a Resident Evil 4 VR experience?
I feel like it'd be too easy.
Too easy.
Like that's the thing. Part of what makes Resident Evil 4 so scary is its terrible tank controls. Sure,
but what if you add the tank, like you still limit the movement and then you're in VR? That's going to be even more insane, right? I don't know how they force you to be limited movement, or they control your speed, I guess, or something.
I mean, they kind of made it work with Resident Evil 7, so
that's true.
Maybe make it work. I think this game, though, this was like, in my mind, this was the first Resident Evil game where there's so much ammo. You don't need to worry about ammo. So if they can restrict the ammo like they did in Resident Evil 7 and make it scary, that being said, this is not the game to be that scary. This is the game where Resident Evil became over the top and ridiculous. So maybe just increase the enemy account.
Yeah, that's true. You can still make it tense by doing things like that, or decreasing the ammo so you can move around just fine, but good luck with, you have to nail these headshots and stuff.
Or make these enemies more just intelligent, because that was part of it too. You see the way they dodge if you have your laser pointer on their face for too long.
I guess it depends on how much time they're going to spend on, if they are doing this VR port, how much time under the hood, or if it's just kind of a plaster it to VR and release it. Yeah. We've talked about before, now that Resident Evil 3 remake is out, it's a race to 4, and I want them to take their sweet time, but I cannot wait to see this game in that new RE engine, just updated and looking beautiful. But so maybe even if it takes time away from like development for that RE4 remake, maybe shelve this VR idea, because I really just want to see that.
Right. This is the PS4 version on
PS4 Pro, but it's that PS3 like port you can get digitally on. So that's the footage we're watching. So
this does look pretty good.
Yeah, it's in 1080p, 60 frames per second. So not bad at all. I think I played it first on, because I just played this and actually beat it for the first time maybe 7 months ago.
Really?
After beating RE3, a remake, and or right before that came out. And I fucking loved it, and I wish I didn't wait so long to play it, but I forget the version I played. I think I played it on PS Now, actually. So it was streaming the whatever HD version of it that had come out throughout the years. And plays awesome. I always heard the Wii version is like the best way to play it, but I do not have a Wii. But yeah, if they can get this, they can work on the remake of 4. That would be the priority in my mind.
It's going to be a big deal, and it's nice that that's going to be, I assume, a next-gen console exclusive. So
it's possible. It depends on how they also want to sell as many as possible, though, right? So it's like you can't deny there's so many X million of PS4. It's like you can't deny they're the big dick in the room. You got to make sure that they're taken care of. But
that's true.
So we got YouTube. This is interesting, and I got to use it. I actually have the control over there. But YouTube Premium subscribers can now get a free Google Stadia bundle. So we don't have to get into the whole spiel, but in short, Google is really just giving these things away for free now. Technically, if you pay for Google Premium Edition or whatever, when it bundles YouTube for free, like YouTube Red, I pay for that because it comes with YouTube Music, which is what I use. Yeah. So if you sign up, you get a free Chromecast plus the 4K Chromecast dongle as well. So it's like normally $100 they're giving away for free, and it's a great deal. But I wonder if that's not great writing on the walls for Stadia. If at this point they're just trying to like send these out in the market so that people get them.
We'll see. I think CyberPunk's going to be the big point where
that's true. It's launching there.
Yeah, it's a game where a lot of people can't run it or they can't run it optimally. So
right.
If people choose for this to be the way it's played, then yeah.
I'm just not hopeful that it's going to be the best. I mean, they're not saying it's going to be the best experience, but I've played games on Stadia, especially with the dongle now, with the controller, and it's not one for one. It's still a little bit laggy. You can tell when the resolution drops down. For a game like Cyberpunk, I want to play it at the prettiest possible, the best performing possible, where I don't want to spend $60 that's tied to the Stadia version that I can't move anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's not a deal for me, but you're right. If they can get enough people jumping into that who want to play that game who can't play it any other way, then that's a way for them to do it. Depends on the internet too. So
yeah, I guess that's a concern I have for it as well. Is people in this last event with Cyberpunk, they were playing all these hours, and even with like Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I still love for like press events, that we can just do this via the cloud now. You can't hack a cloud game. You can't save the code and put it on the internet. No, it's just cloud. You can't touch it.
Or cheat if it's multiplayer, so like doesn't have Destiny on there.
Exactly. So I love that we're using this for demos now. Again, we still need like E3 doing that where everyone can play it, and I think that's really going to take off.
They could like partner with Stadia and say, hey, if you have a Stadia, you can try all these demos for free, but that'd be the only way to do it.
I don't think any of these people are ready. I think if they were ready to handle that kind of load, they would have done it. I think I called it for Microsoft this last year. I think next year, definitely. That being said, I did actually play Stadia this weekend because they put Phoenix Rising, whatever, the demo back. And
what do you think of that?
To me, it didn't feel laggy, but I also didn't have fun playing it.
Interesting. So I played it. So it was laggy on my actual Stadia controller with the dongle, but when I played on my PC, it worked great. And I did play maybe an hour of that demo. This was like 2 weeks ago now, and I thought it was fun. It was cool. I want to jump into like the full blown version of it, but I can see the interesting parts because there's a lot of inspiration from Zelda where you can just climb anywhere. Like you just have your stamina meter really, so you can just climb anywhere. The combat seemed fun. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's enough to get me to pull the trigger and buy it regular price. But where you're not overwhelmed by it.
I feel like the story bits really annoyed me. Like it was just like, clearly this is for kids.
Yeah, they're trying to be wacky and or witty with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not a child.
I found myself trying to skip those as much as possible. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I hope it's good, and I hope I'm wrong.
It could be. It looks like it could be fun, and especially since there's nothing like Zelda out, anytime soon. This could maybe scratch that itch.
I'd be really curious how far off that next Zelda game, because we didn't hear anything about it this last E3.
No, and they first showed a trailer, said they're working on it maybe 2 years ago now, or maybe a year and a half ago now.
I want to say 2 years. I think it was 2 E3s ago.
And that was maybe a year. That was at least 2 from the last Zelda 2. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I think it is going to take a while, but yeah.
And they hired like tons of level designers for it too, so
gotcha.
See, but yeah, I think graphically, in a lot of ways, graphically, this is like the style I think is cool, but like look how flat everything is lit.
Yeah, for sure, and it's got that Fortnite kind of flavor to it visually,
which I'm not mad at, but I feel like it could have done a better job of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting. I want to see how it actually reviews and what kind of scores it gets, but looks like it could be cool. I don't know if it'll do enough, especially it's a new IP, so it's also trying to make that battle as well. So yeah, I'm not sure. We will see. Good. But yeah, so and then also Stadia turned 1 year old last week. How long do you think, if Stadia doesn't really improve or get any more traction, how long does it have before Google pulls the plug?
I'd give it 1 more year.
I think that's fair. They've said they're committed, like they, the usual spiel. They did buy a studio, and they got the ex God of War, not director, but was she the producer? I forget her name, but she left Sony Santa Monica to go helm this new studio. So the fact that they bought a studio, seemed like they're committed there. They don't want to lose out on that. Does that game just go multi-platform if they pull the plug on Stadia? That's possible, but it seems like they're putting money into it to the degree where they're committed. But they also have historically just pulled the plug on stuff. So
I mean, show us something we can't get anywhere else. We see times exclusives.
That's the thing. And maybe they're waiting for that juggernaut studio they're building, but it's going to take them a while. I don't know what engine they're using. Yeah. They have new talent. It's going to take some time.
You need killer apps. Like at this point, not just a killer app. You need multiple killer apps.
Right.
Need your Halo.
And if they can't do that, and I feel like they're just trying to resist this as long as they can, but the move is to go fully Netflix, where you pay $20 a month, but you get access to all these games. You don't have to then buy them at their full retail price.
I really don't know that it can be done for the price of how expensive these games are.
True, but then look at maybe apples and oranges, but look at Game Pass. It's X amount of money for all these games, and the fact that they have subscribers, that seems like that's what's more important to them, the number of subscribers versus the money potentially they're losing out on. But they even have their first parties there, and it's still, you pay whatever a month.
But even on Game Pass, stuff still comes and goes, and that really pisses people off. Because unlike a movie...
True. Although Netflix does that more often now, but they didn't used to. Yeah. Like The Office is finally leaving this year, which is a huge bummer.
It just sucks when in a game, you lose everything. You've lost your save.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like if they can go that model, that's what they remove the hurdles as much as possible. That's what's going to get people in. If they can jump in for $10 a month, if that's crazy, $20 a month, and they have all these games, then it's a no-brainer. But I don't want to then, pay whatever to get in and then have to buy these games that are just locked to Stadia that I just, hopefully I like, or hopefully it performs well on Stadia.
You don't really own it. By the way, I'll get to that when we get to it. Anyway.
Okay. So our next one here is Bethesda games need to be first or best on Xbox. So this is the ongoing back and forth with what exactly is going to happen with that Bethesda-Microsoft deal. If these games are going to come to other platforms, who knows? So this is from Dom Pepillette of GamesRadar.com. Microsoft would like Bethesda's upcoming games to be either first or better or best on Xbox platforms, according to Xbox Chief Financial Officer Tim Stewart. After Microsoft announced its acquisition of ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Bethesda Softworks and its associated studios, back in September, the gaming industry at large has been curious about what that means for Bethesda titles on non-Microsoft platforms going forward. Quote, "What we'll do in the long run is what we don't have intentions of just pulling all of Bethesda content out of Sony or Nintendo or otherwise," Stewart said at the Jefferies Interactive Entertainment Conference last week via VGC, transcribed by Seeking Alpha. Oh boy. But what we want is...
Seeking Alpha.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Whose dating profile is that? Jesus.
That sounds pretty cool, actually. But what we want is, we want that content in the long run to be the first or best or better or pick your differentiated experience on our platforms. We will want Bethesda content to show up the best on our platforms. So it's more just kind of back and forth, but it seems like if it's not exclusive to Microsoft, they want to have some kind of time deal or, 4K mode, what have you, on Microsoft to kind of give you a reason to buy it there. But yeah, just more news. We're still not sure yet what's going to happen. This deal isn't final yet, so it happens at some point in 2021 where it's fully stamped and secured. But yeah, do you think there's a possibility we see these games on PS5 and for sure PC, I guess, but on other platforms?
I mean, that sure sounds like it. That being said, I'm still of the mind of just fucking make it exclusive. You paid the money.
Yeah.
This is
right.
I don't know what to compare it to. Why would you pay that money and not have this be your ace in the hole? And you've now taken the aces out of the deck of cards for the other guys.
Right. Yeah, it seems like, of course they have probably the best minds financially figuring out, okay, do we make more money going multi-platform or make more money strengthening our install base by keeping it here? They're figuring that out, but it seems like you want to keep people in Xbox buying Xbox, and this is how you do it. So
think about how much easier that would be to develop for when it's just all right, so Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PC. Oh, they're all the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
Fuck it. That's easy.
Yeah, it would be, I imagine, way easier for those teams. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I do hope that they make that move. Maybe it's not the most popular, but
It
I
won't
mean,
be.
PlayStation's been doing that for years. They have all these exclusive studios that just barely, some of those games have been making it to PC, like with Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn coming out soon.
I wonder if their plan is to ease people into it with all these other studios that they've acquired and really haven't been putting this stuff out yet. So maybe once people get used to this idea of Psychonauts being Microsoft exclusive,
sure,
the Hellblade people being exclusive. Once people get used to that, then maybe they'll be like, all right, Bethesda. I mean, I'm already playing my games on Microsoft anyway, so let's bring it. That being said, there's another article that I saw today I sent to you about how Deathloop has a super cool feature where in the beginning of the game you get these shitty guns that can jam, which considering the game loops like infinitely, I suppose the beginning of the game probably happens fairly often. So I assume you want to get away from these guns as quickly as you can, but there are guns that will jam, and when they jam with the special triggers on the PlayStation, they straight up lock your trigger.
Right.
So you're not going to feel it. And that sounds so fucking cool. That being said, there's barely any games that have jamming guns. So it's interesting.
There have been a few. Which ones? I'm blanking up. But I know there's a couple experiences where that
Gears of War
can happen. That's true. That's all. That's kind of.
But that's your fault.
Right.
And the risk versus reward is fun.
Right.
But the only other one I can think of is.
Was there Far Cry? Did that?
Far Cry 2.
Gotcha.
And it would be, that's why either A, you wouldn't want to use shitty guns, so you wouldn't go picking them up off the enemies. You'd want to buy them because you know they're going to last longer. And then B, you want to try and take as best care of it as you could. So never under any circumstances jump in a river.
Gotcha.
Because that'll fuck your gun. I always wish that game had a way to clean your gun so you could actually maintain it. I feel like that would have made it that much more intimate.
Right.
But that being said, you already had to take care of so much stuff with that, and then you have manually like healing yourself, then you have some sort of disease that you have to keep taking medication for. Malaria, you have malaria that you got to keep taking medication. You got to fix your car, like
got to feed your dog, and
there's so much shit you had to take care of. Cleaning your guns probably would have just been one more, but
yeah, I read that same thing, and it's a great use of the adaptive triggers, I want to say.
Right.
It's nuts, and we're going to see more of that as these years come by, because right now they're just scratching the surface. Going back to playing the PS5, Miles does that a little bit, where they kind of add tension to the triggers when you're swinging to kind of replicate that. But really, the big one is Astro's Playroom, which is that bundled in game that comes with the PS5. And it's really like a love letter to PlayStation, because there's all these different Easter eggs for PlayStation, but that's where they really show off all the features. They show off the or promote the audio in the controller itself, the adaptive triggers, the haptic feedback, and they really kind of just like push it. And that's one game that I've seen compared to Miles, like they've really done that hardcore in Astro. So yeah, we're just scratching the surface with these developers, like spending the time and working on that. But it's a great mechanic. I love that idea of your gun jamming up. Assuming it's not gonna be annoying or whatever.
Well, I mean, having a gun jam on you is always going to be annoying, but we'll have to see. I don't know. It's just super fucking clever. That's all I got. I still need to play that Astro's Playroom. I still have felt very little of this adaptive trigger. Although I hear with Call of Duty, like every gun breaks slightly different, like you would in real life, which is neat. And I do appreciate that if they're going to do that, they allow you to turn it off in multiplayer. I think that's so fair. Especially
people getting or being sweats, as my nephew likes to call them.
Being sweats, or you're going to play against, because it is cross console, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to play against people on the Xbox who don't have it breaking differently, or against a PC where clicking is the easiest thing in the world. It does make me wish adaptive triggers, so you can connect your PlayStation 5 controller to your PC, but you can't use adaptive triggers yet.
Yeah, it's like not supported yet. I think there needs to be some kind of like Steam patch or various patch to actually like let it work. But
I'll be curious if they allow it. I know with like, I think with
some of the
Ouya,
games are coming to PC. Like maybe they'll use it with their PC games, like the Sony branded games. I don't know. But
I am super thankful though that this game Deathloop is coming to PC same day as PlayStation. So
gotcha.
I get to play it. This is like my most hyped game this side of CyberPunk.
I think they released a time now. It's like either
I think so. It's early 2021, I believe.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I don't have the thing.
Yeah, I think there was a trailer for it.
Gotcha. Yeah, so May 21st. That's pretty soon. Yeah, I cannot wait for this.
March, April, May. All right. Well, that's a little ways in then.
A little bit. I'm sure we'll have time to play CyberPunk until then.
Yeah. And yeah.
But we got some just a slight update on Halo Infinite. We got 343 Industries expected to give a high-level update on Halo Infinite soon. So this is from WindowsCentral.com. In a comment on Reddit, 343 Industries community director Brian Gerard stated that the Halo developer is aiming to try to provide a high-level update on Halo Infinite in the coming weeks, though the game won't be making an appearance at the Game Awards show this year. Halo Infinite is expected to release sometime in 2021 on the Series X, Series S, Xbox, PC. And then they just released Halo 4 on PC on November 17th. That was pretty dope.
I agree with you. That Kid Flowers absolutely going to make my eyes bleed from the graphics.
Yeah, my PC's going to cry and piss itself, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, you saw, I mean, we looked at, I think last week we looked at the settings. So I'm set to play that bad boy on Ultra with RTX turned off, or medium with RTX turned on. And you're all set to play that with RTX on Ultra.
Possibly, or medium. I guess I'm always kind of like hesitant to see like one I get.
But at
or 30 frames or whatever, or not 4K like 1080p.
What resolution did you have to run? I think you can do 1440 Ultra, and I can do 1440 Ultra, but no
RTX.
I don't know.
I am interested because I do want to get a day and day one, and I'm sure Digital Foundry will have the video before, but I always kind of wait for them to do it because they will compare every different release and like compare the specs like versus PC and console, and so I kind of can't wait to see what they find.
You have to get it on PC. You have this rig; it's more powerful than your console. You have to.
Yes, but I do want to see like what if there is a slight edge for PS5 or something. I doubt that at the end of the day it will be performed better there, but I do like to wait to see what they say and what they compare. But I think it's going to be safe to say that on PC, assuming you have a good PC, that it's going to run better there. But yeah, cannot wait. As far as going back to Halo Infinite with their special update coming soon, when do you expect that, and what do you hope that they actually update us with? The fact that they had to push this, possibly a year from original date.
I really don't know. Yeah, the fact that they pushed it a year, I'm really curious. It can't just be the graphics that delayed this game. That being said, playing Gears 5 right now, Gears looks quite a bit better than this.
Yeah, and they're going for a stylized thing, but I think you're right because it's more like photorealistic on the Gear side. But still, even then, I think it's just looks a little bit better compared to Gears 5.
I guess the question then is it last gen? And it's going to be weird calling it that now, but is last gen consoles the thing that's holding this back?
I keep hearing that's not the case, but I don't know if I really at the end of the day believe that though, because how can it not? It's really limited hardware. It's like 7+ years old hardware.
Yeah. And I don't think if you made Gears 5 open world like this, where you're really just roaming around anywhere,
right,
I doubt they could be punching out those graphics that they are currently. So
do you think if they don't make the Game Awards, which you're saying they're not, they have their own little event where they talk about it, do you think we see a new date there, or do they actually wait for some other time to like get something more secure, or do they actually say, you know what, next holiday it's going to be ready?
I bet we see a date. But who's going to trust it? Like we've had, especially since COVID, everything's getting pushed.
Right.
A lot of these next gen games are a lot harder to make than people thought they were going to be, especially when you're making them cross gen. So I think
CyberPunk was delayed, almost a month before the date, and they had to push it.
Yeah.
So
it's been delayed multiple times. Yeah. So I think they announced a date, and I think no one trusts it.
Do you think we see more gameplay, or do they really just keep their head down and work on it until it's ready to go?
You have to prove this is fixed. You have to. And this wasn't this next gen gameplay too?
Yeah, apparently on the Series X. So yeah.
So show me ray tracing. Show me.
They did say this is an older build, but do they have a more up to date build that's going to knock everyone's socks off and be different enough with whatever changes they had to do? Like I feel like it's too early to see gameplay, but I don't know when this announcement's going to happen. It's at least not going to be at the Game Awards. So do we see something, February or sometime early 2021? Yeah, it's I'm not sure. And I kind of want them to really just go quiet until they're fully ready. But I wonder if just with the marketing machine, they have to kind of put out something to stay in everyone's minds and get pre-orders and all that junk.
It still makes me nervous that like a really big, lead writer or lead designer left?
I want to say you're right. Yeah, I forget. It was one crucial aspect of the development. And sometimes it happens when the game is closer to release, they'll leave to go do something else. But this is like all hands on deck kind of situation.
Yeah, that's not a role that leaves. Like the people that leave before it's finished are typically like the core engine programmers and people that like it's okay for them to start on a new project because it's just the gameplay people that are left.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that's not the role that should be leaving.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful I understand, or I think they understand the pressure for sure. So they wouldn't come back again unless they have something to show, unless they have enough to really like change everyone's mind, and don't, release that date unless you're ready. For sure. Gavin got the next one here. This is just a fun one. Spider-Man Remastered has a new Easter egg for the low poly boat people. So we have the footage here. So the boat people are kind of famous for the last PS4 Spider-Man, these really low poly models that you're never really meant to see, but you can get out of the world and see them, and they're just terrifying. But so they're back in Miles Morales, or the PS5 remastered version of Spider-Man, but they added a little Easter egg to them.
God, this game is fucking pretty.
Oh yeah,
it's got such an excellent sense of speed.
So they added did you miss us, little post-it note. Yeah, could
have fixed it. Chose no.
Yeah, because it's like if we don't have to, like, you're never going to see this. And this happens in games. It's happened for decades where they have the low poly model that you're never meant to see, and why turn into the high res version if it's like you're never going to go out there? But it's just it's funny.
And I'd be curious, honestly, like was the original artist that worked on those models like given a whole 5 seconds to work on it? It's like, all right, get this knocked out this afternoon. No one's gonna see it. Don't put any effort into it. This is minimal effort. But it's funny. Like, no one's mad at the devs for doing it.
No,
it's funny.
I love that they kind of put their foot down and just be like, we're not going to change it, and here's a little sticky note. And if also if he was like flipping you off, that'd be even better.
Right.
So Gavin, this was announced, I want to say late last week. We got Game Awards and nominees. So we don't have to go through all of them, but there's the big ones here. Like, of course, the Juggernaut is Game of the Year. So some of these I've played. I know you've played Hades, which is on there. So we got Animal Crossing New Horizons, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and then Last of Us Part 2. Ooh. Even if you haven't played some of these games, what do you think about the lineup, and what do you think would win that award?
I can pay the Final Fantasy VII Remake now.
Can you? Is it on PC? Yeah, I feel like it's still delayed. I don't think it is, but you can find out.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, I'll bet you $5.
Yeah, no, this is a killer lineup. Last of Us 2, amazing. Hades, I always feel weird when these games that have been in early access for a while release and then they get to be in the Game of the Year nominees. That always feels strange to me.
Yeah, I could see how it's kind of iffy. They've had time to bake in the oven too before they
Ghost of Tsushima. Like, how do you pick a winner here besides Animal Crossing? That just feels like it'll never win Game of the Year, and I'm not mad at that.
I think it could. I think this year it could. Just going off the fact that with at least like the top awards, they go with these industry people from like GameSpot, from IGN, and they're the ones who do the voting. I feel like that, going off of Twitter, those people were super duper positive on Animal Crossing, to the point where I think it might actually sway them to go that direction. But I haven't played it. I don't know if it deserves it. It seems like people loved it and it sold a ton. But yeah, that's my only like thing that might make me like kind of actually think, you know what, it might win it.
I mean, people loved it.
Yeah. There's Doom Eternal, which I love Doom Eternal, but I would have swapped out, and I hate to say it, but I would have swapped out Doom and or Final Fantasy. I haven't played it, but I know people love Final Fantasy as well. Yeah. But one of those two for Alex. Half-Life Alex was not on there. And
was that this year?
Yeah, that was this year. That was like in April. Oh. For me, that was game of the decade. It was fucking amazing.
I don't think they have that many slots. For some reason, this self-imposed limit, I don't think they have.
Well, that's what I would say, like maybe swap out Doom Eternal or Final Fantasy. Even though I love Doom Eternal, I would say if I were to find the weakest ones out of here, it's really, and that's hard to say because they're all juggernauts, but yeah. I would maybe take out one of those two if I can get Half-Life Alyx in there, because how do you sleep on that? That game was so nuts.
And I think because you can't afford to play it.
See, but that's the interesting debate. Should they limit Game of the Year by the platform and a platform that's hard to access, or just go based on what was the game of the year, quote unquote?
I don't know.
Because that seems like it's an unfair thing to also add as a ruler. Like, okay, was it accessible? What did you need to get it? Like that Half-Life Alyx wasn't at any fault because of that. It's like, that's just where it performed. And because it released there in VR, it was able to do all these special things. But I digress. That was just like a little nitpick I had. But out of the final ones, I've played Last of Us, Tsushima, Eternal.
You'd pick Half-Life Alyx over Last of Us Part 2.
Oh boy, yeah, I would. For my game of the year, I would. But if we're going by their lineup, I would go Last of Us Part 2. Although Ghost of Tsushima is incredibly dope. Doom Eternal was incredibly
finished
dope. Have not.
Ghost
I'm about the last.
Or you did finish Doom though.
I did. I'm very close to the end of Tsushima actually, like maybe 2 hours away. Yeah. But yeah, it's still like you can't go wrong with either of these picks because they're awesome games. But so best action, we do go Alyx here. We got Half-Life Alyx. We got Neo 2, Streets Rage 4.
Neo 2 is supposed to be so good. If you like that genre,
yeah. You got Hades there again and Doom Eternal. What do you think about this lineup? What would take this away?
Those are 5 bops. Absolute killers right there. I don't know how you pick.
I would go Alyx all the time, but
right.
But I don't know if action is the right term because there was a lot of action, but there was more puzzle and like survival horror in Alyx. Right. It actually was mainly scary most of the time, but there were these action elements to it. But
these other 4 nonstop action, like Neo being the least nonstop of the action. That being said, whenever I watch a streamer play it, they're usually fighting somebody. So
what do you think of Streets Rage 4? Do you think that deserves to be in that spot? Is that kind of a weird placement? I just didn't hear enough, high praise of Streets Rage 4, but
I don't know. I don't like beat 'em ups.
Sure, I kind of will steer away from them too. I would give it to Doom Eternal personally, even though I love Half-Life Alyx. I wouldn't say it was like the best action experience that I had.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up awarding.
Neo, or maybe Neo's a tough contender. I don't know how big that fan base is though. So
yeah, we'll see. Best game direction. I guess I'm not sure the actual details on what they're deciding on direction itself. They got Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and Last of Us Part 2. What do you think on these?
I don't know what that category means.
Yeah, I was talking the same thing about this with Callum. Does it mean like directing the player or just like cinematically how they direct the scenes? There isn't like another category for this, so I'm just not sure when it comes down to breaking this down, like what they mean. If it's maybe and see, there's narrative too. Then there's also story, so that's separate from the direction. I don't know, so I'm not sure.
Direction they took it. I don't know. That's gobbledygook. That's absolutely meaningless.
Maybe they'll break that down a little bit more in the coming weeks.
I hope so. Art direction, however.
Well, first, so best narrative, we got. I haven't heard of this one. 13 Sentinels, Agus Rim. Have you heard of that?
Never heard of it.
That's apparently on the list. But Final Fantasy VII Remake as well, Tsushima, Hades, and Last of Us Part 2. Narrative, if I can boil it down to Caveman, it'd be story, right? The best story.
We did jump to narrative, yeah.
I would say Last of Us Part 2 was my favorite story of the year.
What year? Can we look this up real quick? What year did Spiritfarer jump out? I thought that was this year, and I hear that'll make you cry.
Spiritfarer?
Yeah, that should get you there.
Okay, on Steam,
2020.
Yeah,
that should have been in there. I hear this game. I think I got it for free on Epic too. I hear this game is absolutely fantastic.
Interesting. As far as the story goes?
Yeah, you're just the boat person that drives these spirits to the underworld, and you talk with them and interact with them and try and get them closure, and it's just supposed to be fantastic.
Interesting. I haven't heard of this. I'll check it out. You said it was free on, well, it might not be free on Epic anymore, but
no,
if it's pretty cheap, I think I would try this.
Yeah, I don't think it's very much.
It's on every console imaginable, it looks like.
Yeah.
Interesting.